Okay, if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you just watched the video about the general hardship reasons and you kind of have an idea as to what hardship reason you're going to use in your hardship letter. This is a really specific purpose of this video, and it's to let you know that whatever you tell the bank your hardship reason is, you need to connect your financial hardship to the date you defaulted. It sounds simple when you say it, right? There are very straightforward examples. Let's say you lose your job in May and then June 1st you default because you weren't able to bring in the same amount of money. That's straightforward. So if you tell the bank, I defaulted on my mortgage because in May I lost my job and in June I missed my payment, that's fully connected. The bank will definitely see that that's connected and there will be no issue. The problem is that it's often not that straightforward. Sometimes people have a financial hardship that occurs and then they continue to make their mortgage payments every month for a certain amount of time because they have savings or they have the ability to pay, but the financial hardship problem, the thing that caused the hardship, happened a while back. And so if you're in one of these situations where your hardship started, then you were current for a while and eventually it just became too much, you have to explain the connection between the financial hardship and your date of default, because your financial you don't want to get denied because you don't have a financial hardship that's valid if you tell them something happened to you well before you defaulted. So that example would be, let's say you lost your job in January and then you continue to make your mortgage payments for February, March, April, May, and then eventually in June, you weren't back to work full time yet, and then you defaulted in June. If you don't explain that to the lender and you just tell them my financial hardship was because I lost my job in January, what the bank is going to do is they're going to look and they're going to say, okay, you lost your job in January. However, you were able to pay your mortgage for 6 months after that. So that clearly cannot be the reason why you defaulted. And then it kind of gives them the right to see that you defaulted for some other non-valid reason. So if you're someone who has financial hardship happen well before the date of default, just explain it. It's really reasonable that if you lose your job in January, over time things would compound and then you would default in June. And the way you explain that is just straightforward. You say, in January of whatever year, I lost my job. And then you just tell them I was able to make my mortgage payments for the next 5 or 6 months because I had savings and I thought I would be back to work soon and it was a priority for me to stay current. However, I wasn't able to get back to work and I ran out of savings, and in June of this year, I defaulted. And so that way you tell them what the financial hardship is, but because there's this gap of time in the middle, you account for your gap of time so that your default is always connected to the hardship. Then the other little side note there is make sure you always give them dates. So when you say my financial hardship began in, give them the date or the approximate month and date, and then that will help them easily be able to connect that to the date of default.